to call to order the Monday, June 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Wilson School Board. Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Here.
Mrs. Denny?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Mrs. Casper?
Here.
Dr. Kennedy? Mr. McCray?
Here.
Mr. McCree?
Here.
Mr. Schneider?
Here.
Mrs. Cocker?
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Please stand for the pledge to the flag. First, we have a communication piece on our total experience learning, and so I'll call up Dr. Cachufo to present our team for that.
Good evening, board members. I have the privilege today to introduce you to Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Lynch, both teachers at Cornwall Terrace. Total experience learning is something, it's a journey that we started taking 2 years ago, really flipping the script on how teaching happens. It really helps kids own their own learning even more than they have in the past. So I'm not going to say any more because I want you guys to experience the wonderful things and how this is really engaging kids and teachers in our buildings.
Good evening. My name is Jill Lynch, and I'm the instructional support teacher at Cornwall Terrace. As IST, my main focus is to help teachers support their Tier 1 instruction. That being said, we're focused on all students. And this total experience learning model is really bringing real, authentic learning to the classroom. Students are engaged in collaborative inquiry, deep conversations about content and subject matter. And at Cornwall Terrace, we have a lot of fun, exciting things happening, and tonight we are here to celebrate. So we have some third graders here who are going to share some experiences with you, some of their favorite memories, some of the things that they've done this year that has helped them to deepen their understanding and having fun while learning. When I met with this group to prepare for tonight, I asked them, did you learn anything new this year? And they said, yeah. Resounding yes right away. And I said, but did you learn anything this year that was really, really hard? Did you struggle? Did you have something that was just really difficult to learn? And they all said yes. And one student said, I still like it, even when it's hard. But when it's fun, it's even better. And as teachers, we try to make things fun all the time, but really by infusing this methodology, what we're doing is we're empowering our students and we're empowering our staff to take a step back and turn the ownership over to students and getting kids excited about learning when sometimes school is not where they want to be. So enough for me. You're going to hear from some of our friends from Mrs. Peterson's 3rd grade class. We're going to turn it over to Jack.
One of our favorite days was Solar Eclipse Day. Mrs. Peterson told us that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience the solar eclipse. Our teachers made this day so much fun. We learned about things we might not normally learn about, but this was something that was happening in real life, so we had to explore it. Our learning lab was filled with books, models of the solar system, and activities to learn about the moon phases, constellations, and all of the planets. Our whole school had fun on this special day. We went outside and even watched solar eclipse happen. We even got to work with the high school students and teachers. They helped us use a telescope. It's something we'll remember for a long time.
One of our other favorite memories was the project we did in September. We thought we were just going to explore cute caterpillars. Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Lynch asked us a lot of questions, but didn't give us any answers. They gave us this plant. We had to figure out what this weird-looking plant was and how it was connected to caterpillars. The plant had fuzz and oozed with this white stuff. After a lot of research, we figured out that it was milkweed, and the caterpillars we had were going to become monarch butterflies. But then we discovered that monarchs are endangered. One reason is because the milkweed that they eat is often sprayed with chemicals or are destroyed by bugs that don't belong here or are sometimes cut down. So we made a plan. We researched milkweed and decided to plant some at Cornwall Terrace. For some of us, we had never seen caterpillars or butterflies up close. It was so cool to learn about these creatures and how we could help them.
Part of third grade's reading and writing units of study requires a deep dive into nonfiction, and this is sometimes tricky for third graders. So what we did was we created a learning lab experience for all third graders. Going back to what I mentioned about Tier 1 instruction, we're leveling the playing field, giving all of our students the same opportunities and having access to the same information. So we have one student who really loved this project.
I love the animal research project. We got to see a lot of animals in big cases. Animals like owls, hawks, poisonous snakes, and beaver, a tarantula, and a octopus. We got to choose the animal that we wanted to learn more about, and we researched it. We also got to see real life animals: Oreo the guinea pig, Thrasher the fish, Thistle the hedgehog, and Torpedo the turtle. I chose to research cheetahs. I like that I got to choose my own project.
We also got to be part of the Unless contest from the Philly Zoo. We had Dr. Campbell, a bat expert from Albright, come in and show us a real bat, and we learned about ways bats are important to our environment and why we should care about them. Bats are pollinators and make a difference in our environment.
One other part of what we've implemented this year is something that you probably saw on your way in, a discovery table. Discovery tables are things that teachers can put together that they use in their classroom or across the grade level to introduce a new unit or a new lesson. It's really to pique curiosity and interest and get the kids excited about what they're going to be learning about. But again, not offering a ton of information and letting them uncover it themselves. We had a lot of discovery tables this year that were also able to invite the entire building to take part in. Again, giving all students opportunities to explore things like seashells, things that we might take for granted as adults when a student says, I've never been to the beach before in my life, I've never held a seashell, or something like a pumpkin, and a student saying, I didn't even know what this was. Giving students opportunities to experience things with their peers, collaborating and doing a deep dive into what these fun things are and empowering them to have fun with their learning.
There really is no greater joy for a teacher than to see and hear her students talk about all the things that they learned this year, even if it's the first day of official summer vacation. I'm so humbled tonight to have the raw representation of my class from this year with you to share their highlights and all of their special memories. And thank you for giving them the opportunity to do so. This year has been quite a special one, and I hope you can feel that from everything that we brought here tonight. My name is Lauren Peterson, and I teach third grade at Cornwall Terrace. And as I stand before you today, I am not just an educator, but I'm also a teacher who once felt on the verge of leaving education. The passion that had ignited my career was dimmed. And the best way that I can really explain it is that at a time in my career, I felt like I was in a traffic jam. Things were piling up around me, and every day kind of felt overwhelming. Simply, I felt lost. I asked a fellow teacher a few summers ago when they were retiring, how do you make it to retirement? And I'll be honest, I don't remember the answer. All I remember was my question and my feelings of despair and helplessness. I spent that summer considering other options. I felt that little flame still deep in my heart and my passion for teaching. I decided to stick with teaching for another year, and in doing so, I decided to continue my learning. Maybe that would help me find some new tools. that would make me feel more effective. It has been 2 years since I felt that helplessness, and I can say with confidence that I am a changed person. The coursework that I was introduced to not only helped me find my stride in teaching, but it was more than that. The traffic jam had cleared. Within my first few months of incorporating the total experience learning methodology, I found myself with a new roadmap. Years of schooling, a master's degree, hours of professional learning and classroom experience, and I suddenly had a clear path. It wasn't just theory anymore. It was a framework for engaging students in a way that ignited their curiosities, and it fostered a deeper understanding. It became less about me teaching to them and more about my students uncovering, discovering, and finding inspiration to make change in our school. These small shifts in my everyday practice quickly rekindled that little flame that was still inside. This methodology not only offered a renewal for me, but it instilled a sense of hope for the future of education. I've taken a giant step back in teaching at my students, and I focus more on being the guide on the ride, watching them lead their learning. Through all of this, I've seen incredible transformations for all of my students, regardless of their abilities, their limitations. Every one of my students is a part of the learning process. They are fully engaged, and they are becoming empowered to create their own learning. This collaboration has resulted in countless meaningful experiences, not just for the students, but also for our teachers. I've now worked alongside other dedicated teachers within our district. We've now developed innovative lessons and learning experiences that are truly impacting our students. Our classrooms are now laboratories of creative learning where we're learning from each other and we're refining our practice together. Total experience learning is not just methodology. It's a catalyst for transformation. It transformed me in my approach to teaching. It rekindled my passion, and it connected me with a vibrant network of educators all across the county. Everything that we shared with you tonight speaks with our district vision. Wilson School District truly is a place where students love to learn, staff love to work, and people love to live. I now would like to introduce Jen Joyner to talk a little bit more about this program. Thank you.
That is a very tough act to follow. But I'm going to try because we specifically asked these friends to come and share with you the impact that total experience learning has had on them as educators, as students this year. We could have invited many more teachers up here who have engaged in the work over the past 2 years. And the wonderful thing about this is that people want to talk about it. People want to share. They want to share the good news of all the things that are happening in their classroom. So that's why we wanted to highlight just a few. So up on the screen, and you're going to get this as a handout, but how total experience really is making an impact here at Wilson. And we've talked about this already, but it feeds our Wilson School District vision of students loving to learn. They want to come to school because they have ownership of what they're learning. Teachers love to work. The collaboration is phenomenal. Like I said, they can't wait to share and redesign lessons that traditionally may have been less student-led. And then the community loves to live because we're reaching out to experts in our community, and students are becoming aware of how they can become change makers in their world. The other piece next year, and looking at our professional learning plan, we are highlighting total experience learning in our learning plan next year. So we will have another cohort of approximately 11 teachers and 2 administrators, possibly more, who will be going through the cohort work at Albright. We do host that cohort here after school. The wonderful thing about this cohort, having gone through it this year, is you have a K-12 perspective because you're pulling in not just elementary teachers, not just middle school teachers, but you have K-12 teachers collaborating and saying, hey, my kids can be an expert for your kids, or I know this person in the community, or have you ever thought about redesigning a lesson that way? The lines are really blurred as to the level that they're teaching because it's all about doing what's best for kids in their learning experience. The other piece is that I've reached out to all of the individuals who have gone through the cohort and asked them if they would be willing to design some sessions for our teachers on 2 days next year. We have a professional learning day where students are not in attendance in school about once a month next year. And 2 of those days we're going to be offering personalized sessions. Some of those personalized sessions will be facilitated by our TXPL friends through the lens of what is it like to be a learner in this space, and then also to really focus intentionally on what are the teacher moves that are shifting this learning experience to get your kids ready to be life ready, career ready, college ready. And the wonderful thing about this is when I reached out to them, every single person responded back. Not every person agreed, but that's okay for different reasons. But people were, how can I help? This is so important. How can I help? And I think that speaks to also the power of what these ladies just shared. I'm going to introduce Chris McCaffrey now, because he is also going to speak about just the impact that he's heard from teachers.
All right, thank you for spending some time with us tonight in this important, really, really important time in teachers' lives, because we know the retention and recruitment of teachers and reigniting that passion is something that people have trouble in all industries right now in getting people to work. And I've been at the Wilson School District for 25 years, 10 of those as a high school math teacher and 15 as a instructional tech coach, professional learning coordinator, instructional tech specialist, innovation coordinator, Wilson Virtual Academy, kind of jack of all trades, master of a couple. And this is one that I'm a master of, is trying to help students understand 21st century skills. And what I've noticed, and you can turn over that page, on the back side of that, is if you look at some highlighted words that our teachers had shared from their feedback. I bolded some, but just look through that and see, of those important words that kind of stick out to you. And feel free to shout any out that you do see too as well. Oh, I'm wait time. Curiosity. Yeah, any others?
Yeah, as a teacher myself, I like the going from teacher to student-led piece, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. Take that ownership. Curiosity, we heard.
Voice and choice in learning.
Yeah, and again, I started to highlight this when I got these from the teachers, and I ended up highlighting like everything. Because I could not believe the feedback that I was getting. Remember, I've been doing this job for 15 years, and we have some really cool innovation things that go on in this district, in pockets throughout the district. But what I'm seeing from this is not only innovation pockets of learning, but the passion from teachers. And if we all know what motivation's made of autonomy, purpose, and mastery, and this is giving those teachers those tools to do that for themselves. But then the more important part, where sometimes we fall short, is how do we give those tools to our kids? And the framework that this TXPL is doing by incorporating teachers intentionally and sharing out and pushing their thinking beyond the classroom walls and pushing students there is what I'm seeing, that I've never seen in 15 years in the work that I've been doing. I'm super impressed. And all of these rock stars here too as well. So I just want to make sure we took a step back to see the worth of this program and the impactfulness of this program and the intentionality that it has to develop our kids to be, life, college, and career ready. So thank you for your time today, and please give them a well round of applause.
Well, I just want to thank our young learners and teachers and administrators for supporting this program and for coming in and sharing this with us. Any comments or anything from the board? Mr. McCree?
Yes, I just want to express to Mrs. Peterson, who is my grandson, who is there, Zayden's teacher, how elated I am that they've been doing this experiment, and he has come home invigorated about some of the things that he's been learning, so that's impressive. And thanks to all of these wonderful young men who've shown up today. We didn't get their names, all of their names, though. So,
My name is Jack Smith.
My name is Carson Wiseman.
My name is Zayden Nelson.
thank you so much.
Mr. Schneider?
Yeah, with the young men speaking today, it really was a demonstration of what like the program is all about. They were teaching us, so when you can make and empower the students and the learners to be the educators, like that's really what this whole thing is about.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure when you learn something, that's one thing, but when you learn it enough to be able to share it and teach it to others, that's the key. So, and I love the collaboration idea between the high school kids and the elementary kids, having them come down and be, involved in the process and share what they're learning in their science courses possibly, how it relates to the elementary classes. It's great. And that table, when I first, I just kind of wanted to play with everything. So I can imagine if that's in the hallway or in the back of your classroom, it gets a lot of attention. That's great. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted the fact that this is not special events that are happening all the time. This is the everyday, day in and day out of the classroom. I always kind of joke, like kids come to school for the electives and they just make it through the course, right? I taught math, I know what I'm talking about there. But this framework can change that math classroom into more curiosity, more discovery learning, because again, it's just a different way to approach those cores to make them more like electives and enjoying it too as well. So I just want to make sure we highlight that point too as well.
I have
you.
a general question. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Ms. Peterson for sharing with us her vulnerability as an educator and just going through all of this with other educators. And you can just tell that the inspiration beamed out of you and into your students. And that is the best way to teach. It's just so fulfilling, and it makes coming to work every day just so much better. So thank you so much for sharing.
The seeds in.
Well, those are the milkweed seeds that we planted on Friday, I think, and they're growing out at Cornwall Terrace.
So these are some that you can plant at your home to also be a part of the change in our community. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Case, did you have a question?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for sharing. I mean, empowered teachers make empowered students, so it's wonderful to see. Is there something systemic that I would imagine we had somewhat of a framework of this when we were younger? You could call it different things, but is there something systemic that we got away from this type of teaching 10 or 15 years ago where now we're kind of coming back to it? And that may be a loaded question for another time, but it just, yeah.
I can't necessarily speak. Teachers will be able to answer that question probably more accurately. But from my experience and just being able to be a very small sliver of experiencing kids learning and teachers facilitating, where we are today is trying to really make this systemic throughout our school system and really trying to take the experiences of just two cohorts of teachers and ensuring that every teacher that would like to engage in this type of professional learning has access to it. The energy, the enthusiasm, reading the statements and testimonies from these teachers from elementary to high school biology teacher has ignited my passion for teaching, and I see it igniting a passion for learning in my students. That's why we're here. Learning should and can be fun. And I think that's kind of our call to action, and is how do we take this and make it transferable to every single educator. That's a big challenge, but that's part of the reason they're here, is to light that curiosity in you. As a board member, as members of our administrative team who make decisions on how we develop professional learning and how we fund training opportunities for teachers, really to get back to what we all believe should be teaching and learning.
Thank you.
Mrs. Denny?
I just wanted to echo the level of enthusiasm that you talked about. I had the pleasure of being in Mrs. Peterson's class a couple of times this year and meeting these nice young men as well as some of their classmates who were very welcoming. And the enthusiasm and the excitement was very apparent in day-to-day lessons. And I think that classes at times can seem boring, especially if it's a subject that it's not a subject you like, and especially if you are an 8 or 9-year-old young man who wants to move around and be active. And I feel like these types of lessons are really geared towards that age and that level to make it something that's exciting, to have it hands-on, to use the different senses, and to use that as a strength, that curiosity, that inquisitiveness. So, Mrs. Peterson, you deserve a lot of credit and kudos for what you're doing. And I think as a school board, one of the things that we need to look at in order to get this into more of our classrooms, quite frankly, and this is something we're working on, is space. The learning lab that we saw pictures of is a small room that they have at Cornwall Terrace, but that's a luxury. Most of our buildings don't even have closets to use for learning labs because those closets have been turned into offices. And that learning lab, I saw it twice, once when it was animals in different habitats, and then again for the solar eclipse and the solar system stuff. And it's like that. It was very visually appealing. There were things you could touch and look at and questions. And learning is a very involved process, and that's what this program seems to be. And so I think we need to look at how we can use space in our buildings to facilitate these types of programs. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you all. And thank you for sharing your children with us. They truly are impressive young men.
All right, thank you. Enjoy the rest of summer. Woo, official. We do not have public participation on agenda items. And the board did not meet in executive session, so nothing to report. First item is we're looking to requesting to approve the minutes for the school board meeting held on May 20th, 2024. So looking for a motion for 2.1.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Do we have a second?
Casper.
Mrs. Casper, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Payment of bills, Mr. McCray?
Yes, motion to approve the payment of bills from the general fund in the amount of $1,498,515.07.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. We have a motion for 3.1. Do we have a second? Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Trickett.
Thank you, President Cocker. Tonight I present all items with inclusive of superintendent's report, including the personnel and program recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Trickett. Looking for a motion to approve superintendent items 4.1 through 4.7 as presented.
Denny?
Mrs. Denny, thank you. Do we have a second? Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under consent items, looking to request to accept with gratitude the following donations. From the Wilson Cap and Gown 2024 Committee, a check for $500 to be used to purchase a class gift. And from First Energy, a $150 check and energy kits were provided to all students and staff at Shiloh Hills Elementary. Looking for a motion to accept 5.1.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Do we have a second?
McCray.
Mr. McCray, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, This is a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under Human Resources, 6.1, request to approve the employee bonuses as attached. 6.2, request to approve the tax sheltered accounts as attached. 6.3, request approval of an agreement with St. Luke's University Health Center for new hire physicals and TB tests pursuant to the pricing attached. And 6.4, request to enter into a 5-year agreement with Dr. Christopher Trickett as superintendent, effective June 17th, 2024 through June 16th, 2029, as attached. Looking for a motion to approve Human Resources items 6.1 through 6.4.
So moved.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Mr. Hart, thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Hart?
Thank you, President Cocker. I just wanted to look at item 5.4, Dr. Trickett's contract. Some people, he's been in that position for a couple of years at this point. Some people might be wondering why we're looking to extend his contract so early. Just of note, in the past 3 months, 6 of the 18 school districts in Berks County have had openings in the superintendencies or are currently still open. Counties around are looking to hire people as qualified as Dr. Trickett, and his qualities that he brings to this district are just endless. We're very fortunate to have him, and by extending this, we're creating the next 5 years of consistent leadership in the district. As we've heard tonight and throughout the years, this is a place where students love to learn, staff love to work, and people love to live. And that starts with Dr. Trickett, his administrative team, the staff of the district, the students, the teachers, everyone. And that wouldn't happen without his leadership. I just want to say this is a great opportunity to secure him for another 5 years, if not longer after that. So thank you for all you do, all you've done, and all you're going to do for the district. I know we're going to see a lot more great things happening. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. And just for the public's information, we are only legally allowed to have a 5-year contract for our superintendent, because I know people would probably think, why didn't we just make it a longer contract to begin with? So our original was 5 years, and now we're making sure from this point on, we have another 5 years with him. Obviously, we'd make it 10 if we could, but we are legally bound to 5 years. And I would just like to take a minute to thank Dr. Trickett for the improvements in climate and culture in our district, and just the positive role model that you've been in the last 2 years, but also before that in your role as assistant superintendent. I know that a lot of the duties that you're doing now also kind of took place then, so you've been in this job a little longer than 2 years, in my opinion, and we've seen great things come out of it. So we're happy to, like Mr. Hart said, secure you for at least 5 more. Mr. Hart?
Leaders, the quality of Dr. Trickett are highly sought after, and this was our opportunity to catch and keep, and wanted to do that. So we've done it, and I don't even fish. So, but anyway, I want to thank you and look forward to working with you.
Any other comments from the board for Human Resources items? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Now you're stuck with us for another
Congratulations,
5 years.
Dr.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to thank the board, our leadership team, and this amazing community for having the trust and confidence in me to lock me in for five more years. There's truly no place that I'd rather be. It's an honor to serve as the superintendent and to be a part of this incredible team. And that extends all the way to our board, to every member of our staff. It is an amazing place. It's a special place. And I think moments and weeks like last week reinforces those feelings for us at times when we need those reinforcers. Just a special time to be a Bulldog, and I'm very thankful and again humbled to continue to serve in this capacity. So thank you.
Under Student Services, 7.1, request permission to enroll 1 foreign exchange student for the 2024-25 school year. 7.2, request approval of a resolution approving and adopting a student discipline waiver and consent agreement dated May 15th, 2024. 7.3, request permission to approve the BCIU agreement for the 2024-25 school year to provide and operate the programs and services enumerated in the special education, student services, and early intervention, kindergarten eligible programs and services. 7.4, request permission to contract with the Vista School for 2024 extended school year services for one special education student for $9,203.46, beginning July 8th, 2024, and ending August 9th, 2024. 7.5, request approval to renew a tuition agreement with New Story for extended school year programming for 5 special education students, 4 students at a rate of $425 and 1 student at a rate of $383 per student per day for the 2024 ESY term beginning June 20th, 2024 and ending July 26th, 2024, pending solicitor review and approval. 7.6, request approval to renew a purchase agreement with the Cook Center for Human Connection for a 2-year subscription for parent-family access to training sessions and one-on-one coaching and support for youth mental health and development and staff professional development on related topics at a cost of $79,000, utilizing PCCD grant funds as attached. Looking for a motion to approve student service items 7.1 through 7.6.
Casper?
Mrs. Casper, thank you. Do we have a second?
Hart.
Mr. Hart, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mrs. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. McCray.
Yes.
Mr. McCree.
Yes.
Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
Mr. Case.
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Technology and Media, 8.1, request approval to renew the Microsoft EES agreement for the district at an annual cost of $46,655.95 for year 1, pricing for years 2 to 5, dependent on total staff count for 5 total years. 8.2, request approval to renew the district's SIP trunk agreement with North Star Networks for a 3-year term. And 8.3, request approval to renew the district's MIDLE support agreement with North Star Networks for a 3-year term. Looking for a motion to approve technology items 8.1 through 8.3.
McCree.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Do we have a second?
McCray.
Mr. McCray, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Case.
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mrs. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. McCray.
Yes.
Mr. McCree.
Yes.
Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Operations, 9.1, request permission to purchase copy paper through the BCIU bid from July 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. Looking for a motion for 9.1.
So moved. Case.
Mr. Case, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McCree.
Yes.
Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
Mr. Case.
Yes.
Mrs. Denny.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mrs. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. McCray.
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under Curriculum and Staff Development, 10.1, request approval of agreements with Science Explorers for use of rooms at elementary school buildings for hands-on STEM enrichment programs. Looking for a motion for 10.1.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Do we have a second?
McCree.
Mr. McCree, thank you. Any discussion? Okay. My only comment on Science Explorers is that it's a great program. Very, as the description says, hands-on science activities in the students' home schools, most often by a teacher from their building. They stay after and do fun activities. This past year, we took a lot of slime home. So thank you, Science Explorers. Any other discussion for 10.1? Okay.
Mrs. Cocker, I was just
Yeah.
going to say it's better to have it brought home from school than to have it made in your own house. So definitely thank you, Science Explorers.
It's a great point, Mrs. Denny. Have you no more discussion? Roll call, please.
Just a
Oh,
quick
yep,
comment.
Mr. Case.
Is that something, because it's kind of like the same format each year. Is this something we can sort of bring in-house and have sort of an extended teacher do over the course of the summer, like a camp of some sort? I mean, have we talked about that, or?
I don't know if we've talked about it, but in the years past, we used to run quite a few, going way back, summer camp opportunities for kids. It's something to be considered. It is a for-profit So it's when parents pay, essentially that money comes right through and goes directly to Science Explorers.
Something we may just want to consider if there's some
Talk
options
about
out
it
there.
at curriculum committee to see if there's interest. I think interest might be one of the challenges, but we don't know unless we ask. Good. Come on up, Mrs. Troutman, if that's okay.
So we actually, as a district, through actually the Education Foundation, we do run a summer learning camp it's for elementary students. So kids that recently completed kindergarten through completed fourth grade. So they're run at the Sinking Spring playgrounds 2 days a week, taught by our teachers. And a lot of that is STEM-based education that they run on their own in the summer. So actually enrollment is still open for those camps, so there is still some spots. They're kind of dwindling, but if the community is interested, that is an opportunity that we do offer here, like locally in our district. Thanks.
Great opportunity for a plug. Thank you, Mr. Case, for your question. Any other discussion for 10.1? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Under early learning childcare, 11.1, request $1,000 retention bonus payments from the Wilson Early Learning Fund for 2023-24 Wilson childcare employees who remain in compensable status as attached. Looking for a motion for 11.1. Mr. Hart, thank you. Do we have a second?
Casper.
Mrs. Casper, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. McCree?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
That takes us to committee reports. BCTC, Mrs. Casper.
Yes, thank you, President Cocker. So our last meeting was on Wednesday, May 22nd at the East Campus, and it was a busy week. It was a busy night. Lots of award ceremonies, too many to count and to remember. But we did our student recognition ceremony where we had a chance to mingle with our students and their families. So we don't usually get a chance to do that. So it was very nice. And the students received their end of the year awards. We also presented our JOC Scholarship Awards, in which one of the recipients was one of our Wilson grads, Anastasia Pendos, for health occupations. Some other Wilson students ending the year with honors are Joel Guzman for business management and entrepreneurship, Gabriel Hartman for computer systems, networking, and security, Jocelyn Vigo for cosmetology, Liliana Parham for culinary arts, Cassidy Stitt for early childhood education, Jordan Arurumbi for service occupations, and Logan Beidelman for welding technology. So congratulations to all of those students and to all the BCTC students for a wonderful year. And that's pretty much my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Casper. Dr. Kennedy is unable to be here tonight. I believe she is with our newly successful baseball team. They are in Pittsburgh for the first rounds of states, and they won 2-0, 2-0 since then. So huge congratulations to them. So she's unable to be here. So no BCIU or curriculum, but oh, you can okay, curriculum. And then Mr. McCree, do you have you met for student services? No report. Okay, Mr. Schneider, curriculum. Thank you.
Yeah, so we met last week and we got a presentation about an upcoming June 2025 Spanish immersion trip that would be for any student that has completed Spanish 3, 4, and 5. It's 18 days. It's very intensive, and they also would have the opportunity to earn up to 6 credits, college credits out of it. So I'm just a little jealous, really, after the presentation more than anything that I won't be going. We learned about the professional learning plan for next year, the opportunities that are going to get presented. We talked about contracts with some services that are going to focus on that professional learning. In elementary school, we talked about the Elementary Reading Olympics for the upcoming year. For the middle school, we talked about, excuse me, a couple things, but the biggest one was just how many students participated in the Reading Olympics at that level. It was just an amazing turnout from an amazing number of school districts. And then at the high school, we talked about things like students that have enrolled for original credit opportunities. We have over 230 students already enrolled to get additional credits. We talked about credit recovery, and then we talked about the KU early education enrollment. We have 3 students to date. I don't know if that's gone up since then. Still 3, but whatever. Those are hopefully Wilson students that maybe we'll be able to snag back and have as teachers here. And then, additionally, at all levels, work going forward for next year.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. So Student Services, Mr. McCree. No report. Thank you. Berks EIT, Mr. Schlossman. Okay. Extracurricular Committee has not met, but in addition to the baseball team having their success in Pittsburgh, just look out for the boys and girls lacrosse teams are both playing home in their first round of states tomorrow. So while it is officially our summer break, our student athletes are still going. So hopefully it's not too hot for them. Facilities Committee, Mr. Case.
Thank you. First off, that baseball game was exciting. I was listening to it. It was 0-0 going into the 7th. Christo Hunsicker got a line drive, got 2 guys in, and they won, at the last minute. So it was great. Anyway, from an operations facilities perspective, I don't have a report, but I just want to thank, the entire Wilson community and the administration, Jeff Simcox and his team, the fire department, the local police department. I mean, going through graduation as the first-time dad of a Wilson graduate, it really was overwhelming. It was great, and the coordination with just the traffic of getting 500 cars or close to it through a parade is pretty impressive, and it was just overwhelming. So great place to live, and as a community member, I'm very proud to be in Wilson. So just wanted to share that. We have an Operations and Facilities Committee meeting on June 10th at 4:30 in the Operations Building, and that's basically the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. McCray.
I have no report tonight, but we do meet tomorrow at 4:30 in this building.
Thank you. Legislative, Mr. Schneider.
I have no report.
Thank you. Human Resources, Mr. Hart.
Thank you, President Cocker. Since about February or March, I've been saying how busy the HR team has been, and administrative leadership team and administrators filling positions. I have been saying that, so I actually want to bring some statistics tonight of just some of the positions that were filled. New in the budget this year were 19 proposed new positions to the already positions we have in the district. 15 out of the 19 positions are already filled. The open ones we still have are elementary autistic support, 2 special education positions at the high school, and 1 homeschool visitor. Out of the resignations, retirements, and changes in status, there are 41 openings, and 32 of the 41 positions are already filled. Under long-term substitutes, for a full year of substitutes, we've had 12 open positions, and all those positions as of today are filled. Counting the new positions, resignations, retirements, change in status, and the long-term substitutes, there were 72 positions that needed to be filled this year as of now, and 59 are filled, which is about 82% of the open positions have been filled to date, and that's pretty outstanding for this time of the school year. They've gone after the best of the best, they've gotten the best of the best, and those of you that may not have applied, there are still some open positions. If you know someone that would like to be at Wilson, still interviewing over the summer, there are those 18% of the positions are still open. We'd love to have you, so please apply. Also, just some of the openings remaining. Dr. Trickett, if you wouldn't mind just going through that list for me, please.
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Hart, and thank you to the board. Again, we bring forth recommendations. We bring forward the people who we feel are the best in any given role, but it is the board that ultimately authorizes them as hires, and also finds the ability to fund the positions that we have. Those 19 new positions are positions that we advocated for, our teachers and principals advocated for all throughout our school district. So currently, the positions that we have open, again, for our community members, especially that are listening or watching, we have an elementary EL position, we have a music position at the middle level, high school biology, high school physical education. Some of these positions we are actively in the interviewing process, but again, continue to fill out your applications on PA REAP, send us emails so that we're aware. Home and school visitor position, which we've discussed earlier on here, which is a really important position for us to help meet the needs of our families. High school special education, elementary EL, which is on here twice, as well as reading. So again, if you have any of those certifications or an interest to join our team, we'd love to have you apply and go through our interview process.
Thank you. And interviews are still continuing, as Dr. Trickett mentioned, as we speak, and some will still be happening in the future. So if you know someone, again, please ask them to apply and even direct them to the website. So a big thank you again to the HR team and the leadership team, administrative team, and all the people involved, and support staff all involved in getting these set up and working through these. Great position to be in going into summer. There will be more positions opening, but pretty good stands right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Public Relations, Mrs. Troutman.
Well, good evening, everyone. First, I wanted to just share a little bit of good news. So each year, high schools in Berks County are invited to nominate seniors in 11 categories to honor their most promising students in the Reading Eagles Berks Best program. So we're excited to announce that we did have a senior, one Wilson senior, selected to receive top honors, and then 2 additional finalists were also selected. So first, we want to congratulate Megan Kramer. If you remember, Megan was here at the last board meeting being honored with a scholarship. She received top honors as Berks Best in World Languages. And we also want to congratulate our very own Bryce Heilman, who still is making us proud for being selected as a finalist in the Performing Arts category. And then we also want to congratulate Anastasia Pendos, who you already mentioned. She was selected as a finalist in the Career and Technical Education category. So we want to congratulate these outstanding students who are now actually alumni of Wilson. And then next, I'm trying to make Bryce proud. So I did do a collage, not as good as Bryce's, but I tried to, live up to him, who's not here anymore, but is watching. He told me he and his mother are actually watching. So hey, Bryce, I hope I do you proud. But seriously, look at the screen. That's what we do, right? That's what we get to do as a district, and it's pretty amazing. So we just want to thank the entire Wilson community for their support this past school year. The culmination of this year ended with events, activities across the district, all designed to celebrate the accomplishments of our amazing students and staff. We had moving up ceremonies, concerts, academic and athletic award ceremonies, plays, musicals, and countless athletic events. And yes, we're tired, but we're really, really invigorated as well. So many community members came out. It's incredible. Everywhere we go, there's just crowds of people. We have to put up extra chairs, people standing, because they just love our students so much. We had a wonderful celebration of the class of 2024, and we want to express just how amazing it is to be part of this community. We kicked off with our student-led Decision Day assembly. That is 100% student-led, led by our senior class officers. They work tirelessly to ensure that all students, all seniors have an opportunity to announce their next steps, which is really amazing. And I'm really happy to say that we had a lot of participation in that event, and our entire student body just went nuts for every one of those seniors who went up and expressed what they were going to do next. It was really cool to see. Then we have parent volunteers who are incredible. I think there's a picture of you up there, Mr. Case, dealing some blackjack up there, because we had an amazing cap and gown event, which is kind of like a casino night. Members of our community literally donated thousands and thousands of dollars in time and effort for cool prizes and things that our seniors can win. We had a record number of kids attend. Over 320 students attended that event. It was amazing. And then, of course, you guys know what graduation is like. We've got a parade, and we've got a ceremony in the stadium, a fireworks display again, where community members donate money to the Education Foundation to help pay for the cost of the fireworks display. So it's just amazing. So I do have the best job in the organization because I get to do all of the celebrating of all of this. So I love what I do. I love our students, our staff, and our community. And I truly do believe that we create opportunities where we can fulfill our vision to create a place where students love to learn, staff love to work, and our community loves to live. So continue to follow us on social media. We're going to still be talking about all the cool stuff we do in the summer, so be sure to follow us on social media over the summer months. We will take a break from the Blitz, and then we'll kick that back off probably right before school starts. So stay in touch, and thanks again for all of your support as a board. We get to do these amazing things because of your support, so thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Troutman. Education Foundation, Mr. Case.
Thank you. No report, but I just want to say thank you to Molly and Darcy and Marisa for just knocking it out of the park the entire year with all the support that the Wilson Education Foundation provides, and also everyone else that is part of the Education Foundation and all the donors and community members that are part of that. So just a big thank you. It was a great year. That's it.
Thank you. Technology Committee, Mr. McCray.
No report.
And Mr. Maravich, we do not have public participation on non-agenda items. Do you have any other report? Okay. I'm looking to open up the floor for other business. Mr. Hart.
Thank you again, President Conker. I normally don't speak at these meetings. I try to keep my comments. And it's a summer meeting, and I'm trying to keep it short, but one of the things I did forget to mention, not to beat a dead horse, not that you're a horse, Dr. Trickett, but wanted to say one more thing. I've been part of the district since 2007 when I started it as a principal at Wilson, Fit Elementary School, up through now, as a board member, and a lot of experienced superintendents, and Dr. Trickett is one of the best superintendents we've had in a long time. And again, we're very fortunate to have him. So I just wanted to make sure that I said that on the record. You're doing great things for us, so thank you. And congratulations to all the 2024 graduates this year. Good luck to you as you move on to the next chapter of your life. And it was well done. Another year graduation, well done. Board members, I think there were 4 of you that got to participate from the parent or grandparent side this year, which is kind of cool for all of you. I've been there before, and it's a really great feeling to sit back and relax and just see your student, your child go through that part, and I'm sure it's also very emotional for you too. Well done. And I also, since 2007, I've been at every graduation but for one where I was out of town, and I feel very fortunate to be able to say that's one date night I can have with my wife. So we've done it together all those years, and but for one, she still attended, but I couldn't. But again, it's transformed from year to year to year, and it's an outstanding event. So thank you to everyone who's had a part in putting that together, and congratulations again to the 2024 graduates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Well, that's not a common date night that ends in fireworks, so you really step up your game for that. Mr. Schneider.
I don't think I can top fireworks in the marriage, but I would also like to congratulate the class of 2024, but I'd also like to extend my thanks to the administrative team, to the teachers who had their last day today, to the support staff, to everybody who really make this place the special place it is, but often go unseen. As a 96 grad, like, I still get goosebumps thinking about, like, just what an amazing place Wilson is. And so thank you to everybody who helps to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Mr. McCree?
As my first Wilson graduation, this was an astounding celebration. And I was so ecstatic with all of the effort that went forth into planning the casino night and the graduation and seeing the fireworks and just seeing the students milling on the field as the fireworks were going up. It was an amazing event. And thanks to all of you who took part in that, because that helps to make our students feel as special and unique as they are. And I was quite pleased to have the opportunity to share the field with my grandson, my first grand graduation. And I have one more to go. On Wednesday, we go to Philadelphia. My granddaughter's graduating from Laura Marion, and she was a student here in Wilson before they moved to Philadelphia. But I'm excited. So I have 2 graduates this year. But thanks really, Dr. Trickett, to all of the staff and everyone who just were in their place and doing what they were asked to do to make it a wonderful celebration for our students. And lastly, thanks to all of our graduates, and kudos to you. Graduations, I've done graduations for 30 plus years. mostly at the college level. But this was very unique and special, and I'm glad that I could be a part of it this year.
Thank you, Mr. McCree. Other business from the board? Mrs. Casper?
Yeah. I also want to congratulate the 2024 graduates, and I did watch it from live stream. So Bryce, if you're watching, I loved your speech. It made me a little weepy. So it was a beautiful day. It was a wonderful ceremony, and I really enjoyed watching it from live stream too. So it's such a nice thing. I mean, in the comfort of my own patio, it was really nice to be able to watch it. But yeah, and I want to congratulate all of our staff for a wonderful year. And this was their last day, as Mr. Schneider mentioned. So I want to thank all of our teachers for all their hard work this year. I know there were some tough times throughout the year, but our teachers are really amazing. Our educators really put in a lot of extra work, and it really makes the experience for our students such a Wilson experience. It's really an excellent education. So I did want to mention that. But as Mr. Schneider mentioned, some of the things that often go under the radar are partnerships like the one I'm about to talk about that I've been a part of now for 5 years. And we just wrapped up our year, this year, our 5th year with the partnership. So this year marks our Wilson's 5th year partnered with the Literacy Council of Reading and Berks to support our community's rapidly growing adult English and multilingual language learners. I've had the honor of teaching English to our district newcomers through Wilson's unique and ongoing partnership with the Literacy Council of Reading and Berks. Since I first began teaching in the Wilson community through the Literacy Council 5 years ago, my classes have grown each year, with this year being the first significant shift in the languages that are represented here at Wilson for our newcomers. Most of our Wilson's adult English learners come from a wide range of linguistic proficiencies, including French Creole, which is the fastest growing language in our district. Spanish is still the largest represented non-English language. We also have Arabic, Nepali, Russian, and Vietnamese, and many others. This partnership continues to be one of only 3 in Berks County, and one of the first in Berks County. And it provides a rich resource for the district, including ongoing academic support for our K-12 English and multilingual learners and their families. This past April, I had a wonderful opportunity to present about our partnership at the annual PACE conference in Pittsburgh, the PA Association for Adult Continuing Education. It was a wonderful experience and put our Wilson partnership here with the Literacy Council on the map around the state of Pennsylvania. So partnerships like this are just another way that our community comes together in support of one another and makes Wilson a premier destination school district, not just destination from this region, but obviously from around the world. As many of my students at the end of the year this year have said, we have more coming, literally from other countries, that they're so excited about bringing them to the class and bringing them to this community. That it's a really exciting place, even for newcomers from somewhere else across the globe to come to. So I'm really proud to be a part of that. At the end of this year, many of my students were very eager to bring others to the class, and those who are my students whose children and relatives are in the district have all shared wonderful and positive experiences of the Wilson community and have expressed lots of satisfaction with all that Wilson has to offer. So I look forward to continuing to explore with the district, with the Literacy Council, and beyond, ways that we can continue to keep partnerships like this thriving and leverage them to enhance all of the Wilson successes here. I also want to thank our second shift custodial staff at Southern Middle School for their continued support and hospitality during our classes this year. Also, Mrs. Line for sharing your classroom with me and my students. Room 409 at Southern, you keep such a tidy and lovely classroom, so I try to maintain it as best as I can. And thank you also for Dean Damiani and your administrative team for your continued support and allowing us the space at Southern Middle School, for Jeff Simcox for always helping me try to reserve the space. And of course, to our entire leadership team and their continued support with this partnership. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Casper, for sharing that. Other business from the board? Mr. McCray?
No, I just wanted to add, I know Mrs. Troutman did a great job of, illustrating all the great end of the year events that we had, and obviously it was capped off by graduation, but I think it's important to note that we talk, or we see illustrations seemingly every board meeting about things that Wilson does well, whether it be academic achievements, arts achievements, athletic achievements, but one of the other things that I think Wilson does very well is these big events, and putting on these big events and celebrating not just the students, but the teachers and even the parents in them. I know if you went to many of the concerts, whether they be middle school, high school, you had students on their own recognizing their directors and giving them gifts and sharing great anecdotes about them. If you went to the academic award ceremonies, you heard the teachers giving very personalized descriptions of the students and their performance in the classroom, but you also had students speaking about, oh, by the way, did you read the letter or the note I sent you about how you really impacted me and how I grew throughout the year, and I recognized that growth. And obviously, our graduation, it was a very personalized experience. You had great anecdotes from the speakers talking about their journey throughout Wilson, all the way from elementary school all the way through high school. It wasn't just about the last 4 years, is what you kind of heard over and over again. And again, I think we do a great job of, even in the program, it wasn't just about listing the high school faculty. We listed the elementary school faculty and the middle school faculty, all the people that had impact on many of those students for 13 years plus. So just kudos to, again, the administration, the educators, and obviously the operations staff who does work tirelessly to make all these events happen. It really is a great honor that we get to do and get to be a part of, but it's also something that we do very, very well, and we should be proud of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. Mrs. Denny?
I want to echo everybody's comments about graduation. That was the first graduation at Wilson that I attended since my own, and it's been a couple of decades since that happened. And it was incredible to be part of it. And two of the things that I noticed that had changed, which I think were really positive, is one, that the students' individuality was really allowed to show, both in the decorating of their hats, and there were some really impressive hats. One young lady had flowers that lit up so you could see her, and things that showed them. And along with that, there was the wearing of cords and stoles and different things that recognized academic achievements, sports achievements. There were medals for district champions, I'm assuming. There were military sashes. There were all these different things that recognized ways that these students had excelled academically, but not just academically, in the different criteria. And I think that's so important because academics are absolutely important, but we are looking at a well-rounded student, an individual who will do well in the future, who will be an important part of our community and succeed. And so recognizing that, I think, goes a long way. The other thing was the student speakers have changed. When I graduated, it was the class president, valedictorian, and salutatorian. And I have to tell you that if you are number 1 or 2 in your class of any size, much less one the size of Wilson, you deserve to be recognized because that is incredible. But again, there's so much more than purely academics. And the students that spoke all came from different perspectives. We had our own Bryce, who is just dynamo in and of himself and could present that perspective. But honestly, my favorite speaker was a young man who recognized all of the athletes and the academic superstars and then said, but I'm like most of you, I'm the average student. And I thought that that was wonderful because his words and his perspective were so great. And he did an incredible job. He's obviously going to be an incredibly successful human being, and he represented the majority of our students who are good people, good workers. They've done lots of good things, but they're not going to be you can't have always the best athletes or the best students. So I really liked the diversity of speakers, and it was really exciting to be able to see some kids that I had known since they were little graduate. I'm telling you, I'm already preparing that in 2027 I'm going to be a hot mess. So for the parents and grandparents who went through it this year, Dr. Trickett, the fact that you got up and spoke after your daughter graduated, you deserve special kudos for that. But good job to everybody, and it was an honor to be part of such a special day.
Thank you, Mrs. Denny. Other business from the board? Mr.
I
Case.
just have one other thing. It's a big love fest. I just wanted to share one other thing that was probably my biggest surprise of the entire graduation ceremony. It was at the end of the ceremony, I saw Mr. Creed, he was an elementary school teacher from Green Valley, taught gym, and got a chance to catch up with him, but he has not been with our district for so long, and just the impact of relationship building within our school district. He came back, he's like, I have one more year for the kids that I used to teach to come through. And like he came back, and it's like, wow, it's like if I didn't have a horse, like an actual horse in the race, I'm not sure I would sit through 3.5 hours of a ceremony, to be honest. But he comes all the way from Boyertown and loves it. So it's a real special thing, and I just wanted to kind of share that. You know, he's a special person, and that's the kind of people that we really want working for our district. Would love to have him back. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Case. Well, that is the end of the 2024 school year. Officially, we are in summer. Everybody take a little breather. And I just wanted to say, as June starts, so does Pride Month. So for all of our LGBTQ students, families, teachers, staff, everybody in the Wilson community, know that we support you. And I think I read something really poignant that the reason that we need Pride Month, and just Pride in general, is that there are students, and even in our district, there are students and children in our country who think it's better off that they are not living than to be gay. So that's not okay, and I just want them to know, on the heels of Mental Health Month, students who are LGBTQ also struggle with higher rates of mental health issues and suicide ideation. So we are here for you and support you, and if you have any concerns or want to reach out, you know, our staff is here, and over the summer there are also outlets online. Please don't hesitate to ask for help. So with that said, hopefully everybody has a really positive summer and don't get too much sun. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Meeting adjourned.